As crypto and blockchain tokens become commonplace, concerns about their misuse are increasing. While the technology itself simply facilitates value transfer and isn't inherently malicious like all tools, it can be exploited for criminal purposes. This includes more than just hacks, scams, or ransomware. Crypto is now involved in nearly every form of illegal activity, from drug trafficking and terrorist financing to sanctions evasion. It's also increasingly used for money laundering related to these crimes. The connection between crypto and corruption remains poorly understood. In this video, we explore how criminals, politicians, and some law enforcement are using crypto to conceal billions. Please stay with us and remember to subscribe to the channel. So, is crypto the perfect tool for paying bribes? It sure has some advantages. Transactions are pseudonymous, connected to long wallet addresses instead of names, and they can happen directly between people through decentralized platforms or peer-to-peer. That means fewer questions about who's paying whom or where the money is coming from. Crypto is also easier to keep private. Politically exposed people can hide holdings that might otherwise show up in official asset declarations. And it moves fast. You can send it anywhere in the world with just a click, which can feel simpler and less risky than wiring money through a bank or carrying cash across borders. There are already examples of crypto being used this way. In 2024, a Ukrainian member of parliament got 8 years in prison for offering a €46,000 bribe in Bitcoin to secure funding for reconstruction projects. Payments in crypto were also allegedly made to a former senior official at China's Securities Regulatory Commission, alongside expensive liquor and banquet invitations in return for abusing power and appointments and securing loans. Even big banks aren't immune. In June 2025, 2 employees of China Construction Bank were charged in Hong Kong with bribery and other offenses. They allegedly accepted around $470,000 in crypto to authenticate false documents for a bankrupt Israeli company, Vestu. But crypto bribery isn't foolproof. Because transactions on public blockchains are permanent and visible, if authorities can tie a wallet to a person, the evidence is there forever. The tricky part is that investigators often need prior knowledge of the addresses or the scheme itself. That's probably why we're only now seeing major crypto bribery cases come to light. Changjiang Exchange, a money transmitter based in Australia, has been caught up in a massive 230 million Australian dollars money laundering scandal. During the investigation, the Australian Federal Police uncovered what they described as the largest and most sophisticated money laundering gang in Australia, with ties to cybercrime, drug trafficking, cryptocurrency, and violent crime. According to the Australian Financial Review, Australia's 4 major banks and Bendigo Bank were also linked to the case. While some employees at these banks were unaware, they inadvertently helped the gang move money through the system. AFP Investigative Service Commander Kerry Ferry explained that the group behind the scam tricked victims into believing they were earning high returns on their investments. Most of the funds deposited into Australian bank accounts or sent through Changjiang Exchange are related to developing an investment app called MetaTrader, as well as other foreign exchange and cryptocurrency trading platforms. He said, "Cryptocurrencies provide criminals with a wide range of ways to hide illicit money, and this case shows how digital assets can make tracing funds extremely difficult." The gang funneled money into multiple bank accounts across Australia, effectively masking the trail. Another tactic often used is called tumbling. Tumbling became widely known in 2022 with the rise of Tornado Cash, a smart contract-based cryptocurrency mixer that blends different coins together before redistributing them, making it nearly impossible to trace their origins. It's not yet clear if the accused used this tool. Critics argued the proposal was essentially shoehorning traditional financial rules onto crypto, ignoring the nuances of specific tokens. Cases like Changjiang Exchange as a reminder of the high risks in Australia's quickly expanding cryptocurrency ecosystem. May also be charged with running an illicit exchange and handling both traditional and digital assets without a license. A new chapter has been added to Australia's financial crime saga, involving a suburban security company, classic cars, duffel bags of cash, and nearly $200 million allegedly converted into cryptocurrency. At the center of the scheme was a Gold Coast security company licensed to transport cash between businesses and banks. According to the Queensland Joint Organised Crime Task Force, the company became a front for a laundering operation that moved $190 million in suspected illicit funds into digital currency. The operation was dismantled in June 2025 after a multi-agency investigation led by the AFP's Criminal Assets Confiscation Task Force with support from AUSTRAC, the ATO, Border Force, and the ACIC under Task Force Avarice, which targets priority money laundering threats across Australia. Investigators say the security company used its cash transport services to collect money from organised crime groups, often shipped via domestic air cargo from other states. Couriers then mixed the cash with legitimate business takings, making the origin difficult to trace. Dead drops were reportedly used elsewhere in the country to move currency discreetly into the laundering network. Detective Superintendent Adrian Telfer said, "Dead drops are a hallmark of organised crime and something police have long been dealing with."
I'd just like to say money laundering is the lifeblood of organised crime.
The money flowed through a sales promotion company allegedly controlled by a 32-year-old man from Heathwood, which received $9.5 million over 15 months, and a classic car dealership run by a 58-year-old man from West End, which received $6.4 million over 17 months. Cryptocurrency exchanges then converted the cash into digital assets. To hide ownership, the Heathwood man allegedly installed his wife as a straw director of the promotions company while keeping control behind the scenes. The West End director reportedly opened at least 7 bank accounts across different banks, moving funds through multiple layers to obscure their origin. Some accounts were used to send money back to the Heathwood man's companies, completing the laundering cycle. AUSTRAC identified suspicious patterns, including third-party payments with no legitimate business purpose. After months of investigation, authorities executed 14 search warrants across Brisbane and the Gold Coast on the 5th and 6th of June 2025. Business documents and financial records recovered detailed the alleged laundering network. In 2022, a coordinated cyber attack targeted infrastructure linked to the Axie Infinity ecosystem, stealing $625 million US, around 926 million Australian dollars, in under 2 minutes. The speed and scale of the theft made it one of the largest digital asset heists ever recorded. Stealing the funds was only the first step. To turn the stolen crypto into usable money, the attackers relied on crypto laundering tools, most notably a mixing service called Tornado Cash. Crypto mixers work by pooling digital assets from thousands of users, breaking the transaction trail and redistributing the funds in a way that makes tracing their source extremely difficult. After passing through these mixer, the stolen funds effectively vanished from public view. Because of its repeated use in large-scale laundering operations, Tornado Cash was later placed under US sanctions. Authorities alleged it had been used to process billions of dollars in illicit cryptocurrency. Individuals connected to the service were subsequently arrested, highlighting how critical these tools had become in modern money laundering schemes. Beyond mixers, investigators have also identified digital marketplaces and online gaming economies as alternative laundering channels. In games like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, virtual items such as weapon skins and loot box keys developed real-world value due to high demand and constant trading. These digital items can be bought, sold, and transferred rapidly, allowing illicit funds to be converted into seemingly legitimate in-game assets before being cashed out elsewhere. Together, crypto mixers and digital gaming economies show that modern laundering no longer relies on cash or physical borders. Instead, it uses complex digital systems that blur the line between entertainment platforms, financial tools, and criminal infrastructure. Criminals have increasingly turned to digital assets with subjective value to clean illicit funds. In online marketplaces linked to popular games like Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, virtual items such as weapon skins and loot box keys can carry real-world prices reaching thousands of dollars. High-demand cosmetic upgrades have reportedly sold for as much as $5,000 US, making them an attractive vehicle for laundering. Money launderers exploited this system by using illicit funds to buy loot box keys, reselling them through in-game marketplaces, and converting the proceeds into cleaner money. At its peak, the practice became so widespread that the game's developer, Valve, stated in 2019 that nearly all keys being traded on the marketplace were believed to come from fraud. The company later disabled key trading and stepped up enforcement to disrupt criminal use of the platform. Similar laundering techniques have emerged in the NFT market. NFTs, which act as unique digital identifiers for assets like artwork, surged in popularity in 2021, with some selling for millions. Because NFTs have highly subjective and arbitrary valuations, they can be bought and sold at inflated or manipulated prices, allowing criminals to move dirty money while making it look like legitimate transactions. While some experts argue that digital money laundering is still smaller in scale than traditional methods, others warn that the advantages of cyberspace are too significant to ignore. Digital platforms let illicit funds mix easily with legitimate money, operate across borders, and function in environments with limited regulation and oversight. As financial activity continues moving online, these digital spaces are increasingly being repurposed as laundering channels by modern criminal networks. What about laundering the proceeds of corruption? For those with a lot of dirty money to move, crypto adds a new layer to the old playbook. Indeed, the game still involves shell corporations, offshore bank accounts, trusts, real estate transactions, gambling operations, and even hawala networks. But now corrupt actors can convert their funds into crypto, swap between different coins, jump across blockchains, and use privacy-focused tools to throw investigators off the trail. As tokenized assets, digital versions of financial or real-world assets become more common, we can expect corrupt actors to buy not just villas in Tuscany or ski apartments in Switzerland, but tokens representing these assets. You can't ski on a digital token, of course, but for money launderers, the appeal is clear. It lets them trade across a wide range of investments while keeping the real owner hidden. Are corrupt actors actually using crypto to launder money? There's little direct evidence, but it seems likely. Historically, corrupt individuals have relied on professional money laundering services, often provided by lawyers and accountants. Europol warns that these professionals, increasingly with specialized knowledge in digital asset trading, have developed parallel underground financial systems that operate outside the regulatory frameworks governing legal financial institutions. And law enforcement is starting to catch up. Organized groups specializing in laundering illicit funds, including through crypto, are being taken down. For example, in June 2025, Australian authorities dismantled an organized money laundering operation. Millions of tainted Australian dollars had moved through crypto exchanges, bank accounts, couriers, a car dealership, and a sales company. Some groups even specialize in serving particular clients. In the Europol coordinated operation Karasu in 2025, 17 suspects were arrested for allegedly providing money laundering services to Chinese and Arabic-speaking clients using hawala banking, cash transactions, and crypto. The biggest takedown yet came in October 2025 with the indictment of the chairman of Prince Group, a Cambodia-based multinational. Authorities filed a forfeiture action for over 127,000 Bitcoin, worth roughly $15 billion at the time. The press release highlighted the use of professional money laundering operations and sophisticated techniques like spraying stolen crypto across multiple addresses to hide the trail. Commenting on the indictment, the head of the US Drug Enforcement Administration highlighted the role of corruption in these schemes. Complex criminal schemes such as this exploit global financial systems and emerging technologies to conceal illicit proceeds. These networks operate at the intersection of drug trafficking, corruption, and financial crime, threatening the stability of institutions and communities alike. Imagine you're a law enforcement officer, a public servant sworn to uphold the law. You're one of the few people in your agency who actually knows how to trace and seize crypto assets linked to criminal activity. Now imagine the temptation. What if you could quietly pocket some of that crypto or take payments from criminals in exchange for leaving their holdings untouched? Surely no one would ever find out, right? That's exactly what happened with two US agents from the DEA and Secret Service who abused their positions and access to government-controlled wallets. They ended up stealing tens of millions of dollars in Bitcoin connected to the takedown of the Silk Road online marketplace. It's not just a US problem. In Russia, a former investigator was convicted in 2023 for accepting Bitcoin bribes worth tens of millions from an organized crime group, letting them keep their crypto. valued at about 138 million US dollars at the time. In Iran, senior intelligence officers in the Revolutionary Guard are accused of pocketing around 21 million US dollars during the takedown of the Changjiang Exchange. After the CEO was arrested, they allegedly stole and sold his tokens before the arrest was public, driving the token value down. Cases like these show that law enforcement going rogue isn't unheard of, and that bribes can influence police action or even court proceedings. That means tackling crypto crime isn't just about building technical skills and investigative capacity. Authorities also need to watch for corruption within their own ranks, especially in units like asset management offices that handle seized crypto. Crypto is a fast-moving industry full of genuinely exciting financial and technological innovation. It's no wonder politicians all over the world are paying attention. Corrupt behavior by politicians involving crypto is still mostly speculation. Real-world cases are rare and data is sparse, but red flags for corruption often appear in any fast-growing, profitable industry with highly technical aspects like mining or defense. It makes sense to watch out for common risks, whether that's around licensing, shaping crypto regulations, or the resources dedicated to enforcement. Even the suspicion of crypto-related wrongdoing can hurt public trust in government. Some examples: a political financing scandal in Colombia, graft accusations in Venezuela, and even allegations of crypto-related irregularities affecting the US president and his family. Then there's the Czech Republic, when the Justice Ministry accepted a Bitcoin donation worth around 46 million US dollars from a convicted criminal. The scandal didn't just make headlines. It sparked a public investigation and led to the Justice Minister's resignation. Some even worried it could topple the government. The connection between crypto and corruption, with possibly the biggest social impact, is how it lets criminal gangs run cybercrime operations and launder money with almost no consequences. A 2025 UNODC report on corruption and cybercrime says corruption doesn't just allow cybercrime to happen, it creates the permissive environment where these operations thrive and enables many daily operations of cybercriminal networks. In Southeast Asia, for instance, another UNODC report shows industrial-scale scam centers run by organized crime generating massive amounts of illegal revenue, mostly in crypto. Even when these centers are identified in public reports, they keep running and use human trafficking to get unwilling workers. The report stresses that high rates of corruption, which criminal actors can leverage, let these scams continue without interference. UNODC warns that the revenue from scam centers, along with the ease of laundering crypto, is boosting both the power and financial liquidity of organized crime groups. That gives them even more influence to corrupt and capture politicians and states. Some signs are already visible. A November 2025 Economist report covers allegations of political collusion in scam operations in Cambodia, the Philippines, and Thailand. These have caused a deputy finance minister to resign, a mayor to be jailed, and a warning from Thailand's deputy opposition leader that without action against politicians colluding in scams, we'll wake up to find the country run by crooks. Crypto is an exciting change for financial systems. Its technology could improve privacy, efficiency, and access to financial markets, helping many people poorly served by today's centralized systems. But without understanding crypto-related risks and putting safeguards in place, it can create more chances for corruption and related crimes like money laundering, terrorist financing, and sanctions evasion. Crypto-fueled corruption can weaken trust in governments and even be used to destabilize nations. At the Basel Institute, we want to explore how crypto and corruption intersect and how to reduce both systemic and everyday risks. We also train anti-corruption and asset recovery professionals to follow the money across blockchains and link it to wider financial and criminal investigations. Is crypto changing finance or fueling corruption? From billion-dollar exchange scams to stolen crypto vanishing through mixers, digital money is fast, borderless, and increasingly untraceable. The tech itself isn't evil, but when criminals, corrupt officials, and even rogue law enforcement exploit it, the risks go global. We need to follow the money, stay ahead of these schemes, and hold systems accountable before corruption moves faster than oversight. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more stories on how crypto is reshaping the world, both the good and the dangerous.